Oh,
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today, I am joined by the amazing Allan Knight. Thanks so much for joining me, Allan.
boy, you're putting me under a lot of pressure, more than I want, Amanda. The amazing, that's tough to that's tough to achieve. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. Thank you. I'll just be simple and thank you for the compliment.
Well, I'm glad you're here with us, and I love our kind of discussion for the day. Really, helping people. I know something that you're really passionate about is helping people reach this place of self mastery. And, it would be awesome if we can kind of take that and dissect it and like connect it maybe to relationships, and what that really means. And, the importance of self mastery. So maybe you can start us off by kind of what is self mastery for those of us that are like, what does that even mean?
uh, Good question. At the end of the day, when I use the word self mastery, I'm really referring to because none of us are perfect. So self mastery sounds like, oh, you achieved total self mastery, which I don't think any of us really achieve. But having said that, there's a big difference between individuals who are full of anxiety, full of worry, full of stress, are too hard on themselves, too self critical, versus someone who, relatively speaking, accepts who they are, likes who they are, enjoys who they are, looks forward to life, and lives in relative inner freedom, free from being bogged down by the psychological, emotional crap. I don't know if that makes it clear, but that's the way I would define it. And the reason it's so important to me right now, that whole topic, is that I relate to what's going on now. There's so much anxiety and stress in the world. The other day, I don't know if I was talking to you about it last time, but I saw on Yahoo News where there was a woman who had 10 million followers on social media and was suicidal, and how stress and anxiety and insecurity and fear among young people is rampant. And I remember back to when I was 19, where I decided to leave university. I was taking a bachelor in psychology degree at the time, and I was lost. I didn't know who I was, and I was stressed, and I was full of anxiety, just like I'm sure a lot of people are today. And so I came close to dying on the desert one day when I was, I guess, 21. I traveled around the world, went from one country to another, to another, to another. And then I said, is that all there is? And then I had my first life changing experience where when I did come close to dying, I then made a decision that I was going to be open to exploring my personal development and spiritual development. And that would led me to the work that I do now in helping people, as well as my own, I hope, achievement of relative self mastery. That's where
Yeah,
it all started.
right, exactly. And I love too how, your journey really inspired this. And I think what's so beautiful about that is, you know, the reminder that yes, self mastery, it does sound like this, like almost like place of perfection, but I think that as long as we're working towards, there's always room for improvement. Just like any master, I cannot remember who says this quote, and maybe if I say it maybe you'll know, but it's every master was once a disaster. And that's what comes to my mind when I think of, what you were describing before, like being anxiety ridden and stressed, and then getting to this place of really, feeling at peace with yourself, and continuing to just be on this growth journey. I think it's so important for people to know that it is a journey. Is that
Yeah, I
fair to
think
say?
it's such an important point because I remember when I first became a Zen monk, the expression that we were all looking for enlightenment. We wanted to experience enlightenment. What does that really mean? Well, one of the things I learned early on is there's a difference between having what we call an enlightenment experience. Like when you meditate, when I first started to meditate, my mind was very busy and out of control. And in stages, my mind calmed down, calmed down, calmed down. And then I had what the Japanese call a kensho experience, where you're sitting in meditation and all of a sudden, whoa, everything becomes clear and calm and a sense of contentment and awareness. And they call it a kensho experience, call it an enlightenment experience. But then they make a distinction between achieving that momentary enlightenment experience and the ongoing perfecting of that enlightenment experience, meaning we're never completely enlightened, we're never completely free, but we are relatively free. So when I look at myself now, I think I'm pretty well walking the talk in that most of the time I'm living very present in the moment. Most of the time I feel fairly content and joyful and happy. And even when I'm not, because we do have emotions that are not always positive, then as long as we don't stay obsessed by them and we pick ourselves up by the bootstraps and kind of get back in that Zen zone that I call it, that's living more and more and more in a state of self-mastery. So I would rather use the term perfecting self-mastery than achieving self-mastery, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think making that distinction is important because we're always a work in progress and there's always more growth. There's more that we can learn about the world and ourselves. And I think what I love Zen Zone because I think that that's just so cool, being in this place of Zen. And because we live in this like go, 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 go. Like it's so fast paced and kind of reminding ourselves that sometimes you really just need to, slow down and just be in this present moment. And I guess I'm just curious how you kind of work that, like, and maybe teach that to your clients and what, maybe tools or strategies that you find that are really helpful to get people to this, like, this place for themselves.
Well, the first thing that I like to make clear when I talk to people about relationships, because we live in a world, of relationships, whether it's with large groups or small groups or one-to-one. And because we live in a world which is very fast moving and fast paced, people are running, 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 running. And a lot of times they're not taking time to really center themselves. And the way I see it, we only attract heart-centered quality relationships with other people if we've truly tapped into a heart-centered relationship with ourselves. So if we haven't learned to accept, respect, and adore ourselves like our own child, we're going to be sitting with emotional psychological crap or garbage that is then going to play a role in our other relationships, which end up being dysfunctional. So if we don't take care of this person here, it's going to get screwed up. Even if people fall in love all the time, they momentarily or for a little while, wow, I feel great with this person because this person makes me feel so good and I make them feel so good. And for a period of time, we're in that romantic state, which is wonderful. But how many of us sustain that over the long haul? After years and then having children, we then get triggered, and the triggers trigger stuff that's in us that if it comes oozing out will potentially hurt the relationship or even destroy the relationship. So it's very, very important, especially in this time of social media, when everything is changing and moving so fast, that we learn to take the time. It doesn't have to be a lot of time every day, but quality time every day to work on this person, work on our mind, work on our emotions, work on our spirit, work on our physical health, work on our communication skills as well. And if we do that, we're going to enjoy amazing relationships and impact the world in a positive way. If we don't do that, we're all going to go down the hill together. So that's why it's very, very important to take care of ourselves first. I don't know if I really answered your question, but
Yeah, no, I think it really does answer the question. We start right with ourselves.
the inner
That,
soulmate,
that
I call it the inner soulmate. If we want to attract soulmate relationships, and I believe we have many soulmates, business soulmate, friend soulmates, family soulmates, and romantic soulmates. If we're going to attract heart-centered relationships, we have to start with this person. And with that vibration of self-acceptance and self-respect and self-love and compassion toward ourselves, now we become a walking love machine that has the vibration to attract, like a magnet, into our lives amazing relationships, which I enjoy all the time. I have many wonderful people in my life, and I'm proud, although I keep working on myself, I'll always continue to improve myself. I'm proud that I attract that because of the work that I've done on me. And that's the kind of work that I teach other people.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And I love that you're starting from like yourself, because I think that is so important, right? And oftentimes with all the demands of life and just, kids and the significant other, like all of the work that, like all of the relationships in our lives, right? Can get a little bit distracting. And I think oftentimes people forget that it does start from you. And being able to remind people of that and bring them back to this, like, themselves.
Well, it's so critical because when you look at the world today, and I don't like to focus on the news, I watch a bit of the news, but I don't like to watch a lot of it. But with the divisiveness that's going on, whether it's political, whether it's social, whether it's cancel culture, people have a hard time listening to each other and respecting each other's views. They're so quick to put others down, criticize, bully, and other people are too much of the victim. Other people are too much of the aggressors. So unless we have an amazing revolution or evolution of transformation in the world, it's only going to get worse. And that's why I've dedicated my life to do my little part to help. Because if I can help one person here and another person there and another person there, and then they have a ripple effect because they're going to share it with another person. And so if we have enough good positive ripple effects from the work that I do and the work obviously that you do as well, that's only going to help the world down the road. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. And it, again, though, it's starting from one, like it's starting from us, right? It's starting from one heart-centered person, and kind of that ripple growing and being able to, if I want to say, affect others, or impact, maybe is a better word there, right? Like being able to impact others with this message that, start with yourself.
Absolutely. It comes down to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I love kind of what we've uncovered so far. I'm wondering maybe like if you can help people understand, like we've talked about starting with yourself, but how can they, like a practical tip or tool or strategy, like something that someone can walk away with and like try, and have something in their toolbox to be able to do this work?
Well, one of the first steps that I always recommend that people, it's even in my training program, step number one, is looking in the mirror and connecting to the present situation. Have the courage to look in the mirror and say, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And the point of this exercise is not to be hard on yourself, but rather to become aware of who you are right now. And sometimes one of the most important little reminders that I give people is nothing is going to change unless we get fed up. We get emotionally fed up. We could go to all the seminars we want, we can get all the coaching we want, we can talk about positive thinking, but unless we get fed up with mediocrity, unless we get fed up with the patterns that we have, we're not really going to change. So one technique that I teach people is to sit down with a pen and paper or their computer and rate themselves from 0 to 100%, 0 low, and 100% is the highest, or anywhere in between, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever. Rate yourself in almost every category you can think of. Physical health, the state of your finances, the quality of your relationships, the strength of your vision that you have in direction in your life, your ability to manage your time, your ability to network with others. Or, I usually have about 25, 30 categories that I share with people that then they rate themselves 0 to 100%. And it's very revealing, not to be self-critical, but to be honest with yourself. So when you look at all the numbers after doing an exercise like that, and you see that some of them, whether it's 2 or 3 or 6 or 8 categories, are 50% or less, I always ask people the same question. If you got up tomorrow morning and your cell phone was working at, say, 30, 40, 50% of its capacity, functionality, how quick would you call the cell phone company to get it fixed? Probably most people would call immediately, get it
Yeah.
done. So whether it's their cell phone or whether it's their laptop or their car, they're going to get it fixed immediately. So I always like to ask people the question, do you get up every morning, look in the mirror and say, oh my God, I'm only working at 30, 40, 50% of my capacity on my personal development and communication skills. This is terrible. I better call Amanda or Allan or someone to get some help. We tend not to do that. We wouldn't think of doing that for our laptop or not doing that for our laptop or our phones. But when it comes to this person here, we often put ourselves on the back burner. So I would say that the first step towards self-development is really coming to terms, again, not with the negativity, but with the honesty that we are living a lot less of our personal potential than we can be, get fed up with the mediocrity and saying enough is enough me looking at everyone else who seems to be achieving their dreams and goals, I want to be one of them too, and then make an emotional commitment and a physical commitment to do whatever it takes to make it happen. That would be one little tool, a little nugget that I can give away that hopefully could help people.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like a great exercise. And I think what really, stands out for me is being honest with yourself, and not in a, like you're saying, a self-critical way, but just in a way of, yeah, let me just really be honest with myself and see where is there room for improvement. Because going back to what we were saying before of, that self-mastery is you continuing to work on these things. So, maybe, you can bring up these percentages in areas that maybe are lower, but then reevaluating later on down the line and seeing, but maybe there's other ones that still need work. And I think also what's important about that is when there are shifts, like when you do see the 10% going to a 20%, celebrate that. Like really appreciate yourself for the work that you're doing, even though you're not at 100% yet.
Yeah, and that's why when I teach this exercise, which is the first exercise, I have people redo it every month so that they can see their scores increasing. And again, the importance of, this psychology of law of attraction and positive thinking. I mean, obviously, I'm all for positive thinking and law of attraction, but I think a lot of people sort of cling on to those things without admitting the reality of what's really going on. And sometimes it's okay to say, I feel crummy about this, or I'm not happy with this, or I'm fed up with this. That's good. Get fed up with your mediocrity. Anger is good, not if you're hurting somebody else, but anger is good if you're angry at yourself for not living your dream, angry at yourself for not being the best you can be, angry at yourself. Just motivate yourself to say, I'm going to take myself to the next level. That's a good use of anger that propels us into action. And yes, we acknowledge ourselves as we go along step by step, improving the quality of our life in every area. So absolutely. Very, very important.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that we get to see our growth, because sometimes it's hard to actually even see, like, day by day, right? If you're doing the small little things along the way, sometimes it's hard to see the shifts. But when you have these, I want to call them like an evaluation tool, or a way to, like, an assessment tool, like just a way of measuring your progress and seeing it in black and white, it can actually help you to continue to move forward, because you're actually seeing the difference. Like from one day to the next, you might not see it, but how you have your clients do it on a monthly basis, maybe on a monthly basis, you can see this change, and that can actually in itself be its own motivation.
Well, that's why over the years that I developed this program, which I consider to be a practical transformational system, is when I first got into coaching and I would evaluate people that came to my office and I said, how much work have you done on your self-development? I said, oh, I've read the books, I've gone to the seminars, I've been to life coaching. This is not a criticism. They're all good, very positive. But even after spending 5, 10, sometimes $20,000 on self-development, I would do my evaluation on people and still they were procrastinating. Still, they had a hyperactive, too busy of a mind. Still, suffered from social anxiety, lack of confidence, and the list goes on. So I thought, something's missing here. And that's when the light bulb went on and I realized if you're a physical fitness trainer and I'm 100 pounds overweight in terrible shape, you don't send me to a rah-rah seminar, nor do you have me read a lot of books. You get me in the gymnasium, I get on a program. If I practice that 4, 5, 6 times a week for several months, I'm going to be in good shape. So I realized if that's true for physical fitness, the same should be true for inner and verbal fitness. And that's why I created a practical transformational system that includes setting your goals, having the prioritization list, tracking sheet, inner fitness, communication, kind of connects all the dots. And then at the end, you have a self-coaching system for life. So if you get off track, you know where to pick yourself back up and get back on track and get back in the Zen zone, so to speak.
Zen zone. I love it. And really helping us to learn strategies that those practical strategies that are transferable, that we can always come back to, because there's always going to be, different life challenges. And we are talking about this positivity, but sometimes it's not always all positive. And so being able to have tools and strategies and ways to bring ourselves back can be really helpful. So I love that you give that, gift to people. And I just, as we're kind of closing, I would love for you to maybe explain to everybody maybe a little bit more about that system and, what it's all about, so people know who you are and what you're about and the amazing work that you're doing.
Well, thank you so much, Amanda. I mean, basically, it's a 9-step formula. So the first few steps, the first one is evaluating yourself. And step number 2 has to do with letting go negativity from the past that often is still living in us. So we have what's called zap the past exercises to release that. Third is getting clear on your vision and building your vision directional muscles. So step 1, 2, and 3 within a week to 10 days is pretty easy peasy and fun to do. Then 4, 5, and 6 kicks in. Inner fitness, inner muscles is number 4. If we're going to achieve our dream and our visions, we have to have a strong inner person. So I have a variety of exercise that helps you transform negative thinking into positive, channeling your emotions into passion and enthusiasm, tapping in the Zen zone. So now you feel really good on the inside. 5 is action and accountability to build your lifestyle on the outside. So 4 and 5, inner, outer, develops your personal power, leads us to number 6, which I call the self-mastery, connecting to the challenges and obstacles that we face. So I teach people how to pick themselves up by the bootstraps faster and faster and faster until they live almost most of the time in that Zen zone. Now we can have fun with number 7, which is the true power to manifest, advanced motivational techniques so that we can start manifesting even more so with the advanced inner muscle exercises. So 1 to 7 is about empowering yourself. And number 8 is about mastering all your communication, because then your communication is easy peasy. You just need to learn some content and technique to go along with the self-mastery, because 80% of our communication kind of oozes out from the inside. And then 9, I teach people how to get into legacy circles to make a difference in the world. So that's the strategy of the 9 steps.
It's beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Allan. It's been great to connect with you. And if anybody, is watching and they'd like to know more information about this work that you do, what might be the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Well, at this point, if they just go to my website, allanknight.com, they could see what I do, and they can also see, for those that are either coaches that don't have a program like mine or someone who desires to be a coach, we now have a certified coaching program for leaders that want to make a difference in the world. So some people might just be interested for their own self alone, and others might be interested in becoming a coach, but they can all get all the information on allanknight.com.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing your awesomeness with us, Allan. It was great to just hear more about what it is that you do.
Thank you so much, Amanda, and we look forward to chatting with you soon.
For sure. Thanks everybody for watching. Bye.
Bye.